I'm Brad Lowe, and you're watching Average Joe Sports.
Coach, what is it about the game of football you love the most?
The camaraderie with the boys, just the whole teamwork, a lot of the cliches that you hear, as we've grown up, and I've been in it for a while, just being around the kids and just the work ethic and the discipline that it takes, and all of those things that you play sports for, that's still kind of my driving passion. I like to instill those things in the players, and I know that it's going to be lifelong lessons for them down the road, and it's just like now, is you got tough times, you want to battle through them, and to me there's not a better game to play than this. And I've played ball all my life, and football is to me the sport that builds that character.
And you talked about growing up, you playing football. Give us a little bit of background about yourself. Where you played high school ball and then over into college?
Well, I went to school at Tallahassee High School in Central Alabama, and we were a real big baseball power back in that day. So I played baseball, time enough I could hold a bat, but I played whatever season it was. That's what I played. I played football, baseball, basketball. So just grew up around ball. That's what I enjoyed doing. That's what I knew, and I originally didn't go into coaching, but I kind of got called into it by some former teachers and coaches, and said, "Hey, we'd like you to. We think you'd be good at it. Give it a shot." And I've been doing this. This is my 19th year now, so it's hard to believe, but it is.
What was it about Gadsden City that enticed you?
Well, I was originally here in 14. I'd been at several places. Been at Prattville, been at Thompson. Went to Dothan to take a DC job down in that area, and then I kind of got on with talking with Coach Scott back in the day, and come up, and we really liked the area. First of all, I'm from Central Alabama. I'm not accustomed to the terrain. It's more flat, that sort of thing. So that was appealing to us. The opportunity to be in, I've been in 6A ball, but then it was just becoming 7A, and been in a different region, different location. The challenge of it, and so when you're a competitor, you want to be around the best, and you want to compete against the best, and just whether to prove yourself or whatnot. So that was kind of our draw to it, and then really and truly the people that's been up here that we've learned to grow to know and develop friendships, and it just kind of, it was different and new and a challenge all at the same time, and we were excited about it. It's a little bit different stage of my life. That's 5 years ago. I actually took another job after that. We decided to come back, so we bounced around a pretty good bit. Got a lot of experience for what that's worth, but I've been able to coach pretty much every position, and you get both sides of it. You get different perspectives. You make a network. I got a lot of my colleagues are coaches at the big time programs, and it's a community, and you don't lose track of those guys. And so, but we really like the area, and we like the people that we were around, and we're really involved in church and things like that. It felt more like home for us.
That's good. You're currently over special teams, correct? I want to tell you a brief story about Urban Meyer. You may or may not know this. I'm a huge Gator fan. At Florida, when we used to travel, he would always let his special teams players on the bus first
Right.
picket rooms and all that. He always said that was the most important, most forgotten part of football. You feel the same way?
Absolutely, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. It is the most important, yet it is the most forgotten. I mean, the teams that are really good, you got to fight. Those kids fight each other to be on those teams. The teams that are not very good, you got to go hunting for them. And we're a little bit in the middle. It's been a struggle this year. We've had some good moments and some bad moments. Like the other night, we had a breakdown in the protection, and we had a call that was there. We didn't execute. You get those sort of things, and then when you have the season that we're having so far, you tend to have to. You got to force your way through the brick wall, so to speak. Because it's you fight an uphill battle. But yeah, I mean, there's some kids that are fit for it that don't really want to. There's some kids that really want to, but they really can't get it done. Trying to find that happy medium of, first and foremost, you got to have desire, and and that's always going to be the person you want to go to first. You know, the ones that want to run down there and hit somebody, or the ones that want to take one for the team and they got to block every time, or they got to pin something for someone else to pull and get through and shoot a gap, whatever. But yeah, it's the unsung hero squad.
Yeah.
You got to have special kids that want to do that, and it's vitally important. It wins and loses games for you, as we've seen, both the good and the bad. And you know, games come down to those 10 or 12 plays, and the ones that make them win, the ones that don't make them usually get beat.
Talk to us about Daniel Sparks. He's a huge weapon. He's got, I mean, the special teams.
He really is, and the biggest thing about that is I feel, you know, we still haven't utilized him to the fullest even this year. You know, there's several things that we've not been able to do that we've tried to do.
We did see that fake punt executed it.
Yeah, but you know, but somebody like Daniel, you know, it's. And then we say it all the time. I mean, you know, and just kind of trying to embed that into their head is like, this is an offensive unit. This is a weapon for us. This is not a just get by to the next down. This is not, you know, we're going after it. We're going to be aggressive. You have to have that mindset. And, you know, it's been tough to get that through the kids, but Daniel does a great job. He's a great kid. But going back to, I feel like we haven't been able to utilize him enough on certain type of kicks that he can do, whether it be on kickoff. He does a great job punt and force, and we utilize two styles of that. He does whatever he's asked to do. You know, he's the epitome of a coachable kid. I wish we had more like him.
Who is a coach at the next level that you truly admire? Somebody that you really just like, that guy's got it going on?
Wow.
It could be at the NFL level, just another level.
Well, you know, you always go back to kind of the people that you know. I mean, you know, I don't know. You know, the easy words to say would be like a Belichick or something like that. I mean, you can appreciate what he does. I also have a lot of respect for what Coach Saban has done. You know, I've had relationships with other college coaches that my style kind of fits their style, like a Will Muschamp, for example. I know Derek Ansley pretty well, the DC at Tennessee. Him and I went to the same high school together. You know, there's other guys that scattered throughout. You kind of pick and choose the different aspects that you like, but if I don't know if I could pick just one person, it would probably be Will, a little bit of Coach Saban. I know, you know, this is old school to me, but you know, Coach Dye and my family's known him for a while. You know, you get to where you know a lot of different coaches, and you appreciate what they do and that sort of thing. Coach Stallings was always a very respectful man, and when I was a college kid, I got the chance to meet him, and you know, so you know, offensively or defensively, I'd have to kind of sit there and think about it for a second, but those were, you know, kind of the same type guys at the top of their game right now are the easier choices, but I like to choose and look at the guys that a little bit lower tier, but they really know what they're doing, and you know, there's plenty of those guys out there. You know.
Who was your biggest influence growing up?
Well, my father would be number one. You know, I was very, very fortunate coming up that I was in as good of a family and a home environment as you could possibly be. I mean, I grew up in the country, which I'm proud of, and it taught me a lot about work ethic and, you know, having a scrap for things, and it developed me to who I am. As far as what I do now, I've had vital roles of pastors that have been friends of mine that have been influential on me, and also my high school baseball coach. His son and I were best friends, and growing up, I used to spend a lot of time with him. He was, you know, people were scared of him, but you could tell that he was really, really, he meant the best for you. He made you do right, but you knew you cared all the same. He didn't have to say it, you just knew it. And so I try to emulate that a little bit about, you know, they got to know that you love them, but you can't be their friend necessarily either at the same time. When you get older, and now I've got kids that I've coached, and they're men now, and you know, you can be friends with them then, but you know, you have to learn to compartmentalize your coaching and teaching and that sort of thing. Quite honestly, I treat them like I do my own kids. I really do. You know, and that sounds kind of corny or cliche, but it's if you don't take that on, then you're going to miss something. You're not going to be as in tune to what they need as you possibly can be.
Let me ask you this question. If you're completely off, no teaching, no coaching, you're off. Just say it's summertime. What's your getaway? What's your hobby?
I like to be outside. I like to spend time with my kids. I usually try to get them to do something that I'm doing, and we'll try to, hey, what you want to do today? We'll do that. What you want to do today? But I like being outside and working with my hands, working in the yard. Do some woodworking stuff here and there. I'll get on the table saw, or I'll get out and make something like that. I don't have a lot of woods where I live now, but I used to grow up in the woods or go to the lake. I just like to be out. I like to be outside and working with my hands. To me, that kind of work is a getaway for me because it's just leisure for me, and so I like to do yard work and odds and ends jobs and do some woodworking stuff and that sort of thing.
Who is a high school coach that you coached against that you were like, man, this guy's really got it going on? You may have seen somebody from a distance you've seen coaching or something.
Well, I got to coach with Jamie Dubose, and you could tell he knew exactly what he was doing. I was 1 year removed from being with Coach Clark, but you definitely felt the after effects of him. I know him, always had a lot of respect for him. He is just a guy that, he's a winner, and everybody knows it. And so my Prattville affiliation has come to know that. That's put me in connection with a lot of friends that I've developed that have become head coaches and that sort of stuff. Sean Rainey at Spain Park comes to mind. I've always had a lot of respect for him. I talk with him not often, but he's a friend. Nate McDaniel down at Baldwin County is a really good friend of mine. He does a great and outstanding job. I mean, there's a lot of coaches out there and then there's some that do a really good job and they're not the head coach, but it's just they've chosen to do that, and there's a lot of respect for that too. The guy that's grown up in the hometown that didn't have any aspirations to go anywhere else because he wanted to invest in his own school. That he probably could have gone somewhere else or something like that. I have a lot of respect for those guys too. Doesn't mean they don't know any more or less, but they've chosen to pump into their own school and their own family and plant there. And so, by now it kind of all seems muddled a little bit, but that affiliation would be something. But you have respect for all coaches because in the end we all kind of do. We're all the same deal, and so those guys I would probably say that kind of come to mind right off the bat. Of course, with Coach Sessions here last year, I've known him for a while, and he's always done a great job. And then Coach Caleb Ross at Prattville, Ben. Anyway, I've got a lot of
good
close friends that are in good spots that do a really good job. Mike Battles at Tallahassee does a really good job in a smaller school setting. He's top notch. He knows what he's doing too.
We'll close with this, Coach. What do you think the biggest difference in football is from when you played it to now, and how does that translate over into your coaching career?
Well, I'll be honest with you.
You
probably get
those
that a
same
lot.
teachings
With us being
over?
the same. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. The kids just aren't exposed to having to be tough like they used to be. And that's just as simple as I can put it. My own kids are that way. I battle with them every single day. They're not used to growing up the same way. When we grew up, the girls and the boys played outside on the playground, football, tackle football. That's no joke. So you just grew up to be tough. Now it's not necessarily all their fault. It's our parent, but I would be hesitant about letting my kids do some things that I did back then. And now there's so many different stipulations on what you can do. Certain times that you can practice. You can't do 2 days. You got the targeting rule. So we've kind of nurtured that a little bit too, and so it's hard to place the blame strictly on them. But just the nature of the beast now in our society of instant gratification. Kids, there's not many of them now that are accustomed to, like when we come up. When I was in the 10th grade, I didn't expect to start. I ended up starting a little bit, but I worked my way through on a scout team, and then you get your coach's eye, and then you work up to second group, and then you work into some playing time, and kids don't seem to want to do that quite as much, and it hurts you, and it hurts them, and that's just being honest, So it's but in the same sense, you do still have kids that do want to do right and that do put forth everything they can and are coachable, and that's what keeps you coming back and sometimes we all have to remind ourselves and be accountable to think that, you know, hey, don't always focus on the ones that are messing up. Also focus on the ones that you don't have to say a word to. And there are still plenty of those kids as well. But the game has changed both schematically with the offenses and things that you do with people spreading the field. You have to adjust. You also have to adjust and say that you can't do necessarily the things that you used to do. You know, we used to practice for 4 or 5 hours a day and twice a day. You can't do that anymore. You know, it's just different. And lots of days I feel like that maybe I'm not getting through to them the way I used to could. But you know, you got to adapt, and you know, things just change and evolve over time, just like they do in everything else.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.